Good day, folks. What's up? It's JB Eckel, and welcome to episode 2 of Cookin with Helix, in which we plumb the depths and the esoterica and hopefully some practical implications of the beloved guitar platform Line 6 has given us, Helix. Today's all about Fullerton, California. Here's my t-shirt. I've got the Fullerton amp model going here, and I want to show you why it has become my sort of go-to amp in the Helix, and the model that I've been leaning on very heavily in recordings and practicing, you name it. I would even go so far as to say that if there was a pedal, just a box that had nothing in it but the Fullerton amp and a couple of cab options, that would be worthwhile. Like that'd be something I would actually want. So, well, it started in summer of 2019 when we got hardware update 2.8, and they put the Fender 5C3 Tweed Deluxe in as a new model. They said it was 1958, but I'm going to give you an insider tip here. Ben Adrian told me that it's actually 1953. Ben is one of the guys that works with all the real amps at Line 6 and makes these models. So I have it on very good authority that this is indeed a 1953 Fender 5C3, which they have in their possession, and I hope to lay eyes on it at some point in my life. Most of us haven't had a chance to play through a real one, especially a 1950s one. And I'm so happy that they got this model going. We'll talk about the cabs in a minute, but I've got it set pretty clean right now. Let's take a look at what's going on in HX. All right, I've got the Fullerton Norm. I am not using the Bright or the Jump in this video because it would just be a never-ending video. But those are good other options depending on which one your guitar likes the best or what's right for the song. But we're going to focus today on the Fullerton Norm. And right now I have it going through the Fullerton 1x12 cabinet that's paired with it automatically as of 2.9. I have the drive going here on an expression pedal. And you'll see that as I crank the drive, the channel volume comes down. So check it out. And I think that's just a good practice to get into. That's one of the advantages of this system, is that you can change one thing in one direction and the other thing in another direction. And it keeps your volume more or less consistent, or at least not all over the place. So Fullerton, what can I say? Fullerton, California, in the early 1950s. Blissfully unaware of all the socio-cultural revolutions about to take place. Fullerton. Little did the citizenry know that in his laboratory, Leo Fender was creating the foundation of the sound that would come to be known as rock and roll. And all the offshoots that have come from that in the last, whatever it is, over half a century, 3/4 of a century, something like that. And that amp became a legend. It became a rock and roll icon. I'll read you guys something really quick here from Wikipedia. It says, at the time, Leo Fender produced amplifiers with the intention of having the amp stay clean even at high volumes. The Tweed Deluxe is not known for producing a clean tone at high volumes, and as such was regarded as being an intermediate amplifier. Not for long. They go for about $3 or $4 grand on reverb.com. The saturated tone of this amplifier produces at higher volumes is the reason why it is one of the more famous amps that Fender ever produced. It is part of the signature tone for many musicians, a few notable examples being Larry Carlton, Don Felder, Billy Gibbons, and Neil Young. Okay, so what's Tweed Tone? You've heard this talked about. Tweed Tone sort of sounds a little mysterious, but really it breaks down pretty simply. The iconic Fender tone that most of us think of when we hear that word is the cleanish or slightly broken up 1960s blackface Fenders. They have a little bit of a mid scoop for sure. They've got this sort of blooming low end and a sparkly high, and there's a bouncy feel when you play through them, and that is what we associate with the Fender sound. But really there's two iconic Fender sounds, and they can kind of be divided into 60s and 50s. And the 50s one were covered in tweed material, lacquered, beautiful tweed, very 50s vibe. And the tone, that's a different circuit. So it's a simpler circuit and the sound is different. There's more mid-range in it. It's a little more urgent. It's got a rawness to it. It's definitely a rock vibe. And the key is it breaks up a lot quicker. So I'll show you what I mean on the model. I bet that's not what Leo had in mind. It's a dirty, raw thing. And in the low end, you'll hear in the low strings, it just absolutely hits a brick wall and just compresses and mushes out. And that's what's cool about it. Makes you want to go. Or the Billy Gibbons. I should use humbucker. But you can hear it's getting punished in a lovely way. That is that tweed sound. And I've been exploring it lately. As you can see back here, I actually have a Mesa California tweed, which is Mesa's tribute to that era. I don't know why they didn't put a tweed covering on it, but it looks beautiful anyways. And I've been loving that amp. And so I'm kind of exploring this side of the guitar thing. I've also been listening to Exile on Main Street and some of those previous Stones albums that have these kind of tones. It's a cool sound. I have it really cranked right now. The sweet spot is somewhere in the middle, Brings a smile. Love it. So that's the basic thing of tweed. But another important thing to remember about it is that Jim Marshall based the early Marshalls off of this circuit also. So, the different offshoots of this sound, I'm sure Leo never ever imagined, because he was trying to make a clean amp for, country bands and the early iterations of rock, before everybody decided that it needed to be greasy and crazy sounding. But unwittingly or unwittingly, he gave us that gift. So I'm gonna talk about the cabs. Let's see here. Let's go back to line 6 edit. As I mentioned, the 1x12 Fullerton is the cab that comes with it in 2.9. This was recently added, okay? In 2.8, when they first put this amp on the Helix, they paired it with the 1x12 US Deluxe, which is the blackface cab But I happen to love it with both cabinets. So I just want you guys to know I'm digging it with both. I don't have a real preference. So I'm going to show you the difference. I do kind of have a preference for different styles. So we're fairly dirty here. Okay. Now look at this. We're going to switch. It's a more hi-fi sound. It's a little more low end and a little more sweet highs. Wow. It sounds like I have the reflections a little hot here. Holy smokes, get rid of those. Now you can really hear it. That is a much more hi-fi sound, especially for low gain. It takes out some of that honking sort of mid-nastiness. But that might be just what we want. So I'm going to go back to it, and then you'll hear it. Yeah, that attitude, you know, it's got a snarl. This is back to the Fullerton cab. We should probably hear it with some humbuckers. Let's do just that. Yeah, it's another Fullerton guitar. This is made also by G&L. Technically, it's CLF Research, which is Clarence Leo Fender Research. And it's based off of the offset guitar designs of the 60s. But you'll notice that it has some big giant humbuckers on it and a bunch of little switches to split them up in different ways. So we'll hear the amp getting nailed even harder now. Woo! Okay, let's play some. I don't even know if we're fully cranked right now. Now we are. So I have it backed off to something a little more reasonable now. You can hear that thump as it compresses. I'm not playing very clean today, folks. On the neck pickup, it does a cool thing. I'm going to play this. I'm going to make a nice sound in HX Edit here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the tremolo on. I'm going to go to the other cab, tremolo on, reverb on. Let's turn on some room reverb too. And I'll play a little bit of this mellifluous love cab that I like so much on it. You know what, though? First, I want to say one thing. Back to the cabs. This is important because Ben actually gave me some feedback about the cabs. I asked him about it. He said, and I quote, "I prefer the original cab." He prefers the Fullerton. "The old pine tweed covered cabs were very lightly built. This resonates more than the blackface era. Those resonances absorb some energy, and therefore that energy doesn't get transferred to the sound. That's how cabinet construction imparts equalization to the cabinet. I'm just used to tweed amps sounding right with that kind of cabinet construction." So there you go. That's from Ben. See, they care, you guys. They care, you know? But different strokes for different blokes, as I always say. And I like them both. I like the one that he likes for the more raw, nasty stuff, and then I like the deluxe 1x12, the blackface version for more chill kind of sounds. So while I play, what I'll do is I'll give you guys a little slideshow of some awesome photos that I found on the internet. It loves P90s. It loves tellies. You guys got to plug in and let me know what you think about it. I love it. I'm using it for clean. I'm using it for real dirty. I'm using it for halfway most of all. And I'm just real happy that they put this in here. And I think that modeling is coming of age when you can get a believable example of a 53 Tweed Deluxe in a box. I'll see you guys soon, okay? See you in episode 3. Bye-bye.